This feels very awkward, and I'm surprised by how awkward it feels. So, for all of you that do this with zero hesitation, kudos to you. I have been putting this off for a while. I've been waiting for the perfect time. I've had this concept of a YouTube channel for a while, and I have found every excuse in the book not to do it. I have been waiting till I didn't have roots, or until my makeup was done, or until the snow melted, or until my husband was back at work, so he couldn't hear my incessant chatter upstairs the entire time, because that also is embarrassing. So I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw myself into this in the most uncomfortable way possible, so that I can shake myself free from those limitations. I'm going to get it all out at once. And if you like me, then you'll come back perhaps when I have things figured out, and perhaps not. But I barely brushed my hair today. I didn't do my makeup. I'm in comfy clothes. I have a puppy on my lap. I'm sure you'll hear a puppy bark. I do not have a beautiful setup. I don't have good lighting. I have no idea what the quality is going to be here, what the sound's going to be. Generally speaking, I am better with writing my feelings out, and having a chance to really mull over what I'm trying to say. I do have notes, so no, don't judge me. But I'm very nervous of being on camera, which is silly. But this is how I'm getting through this fear of not being enough. So enjoy. So this would be technically episode 1 of Let's Make It Weird. And I want to start off by telling you why I want to start this channel. I believe that being a female creative comes with a very specific type of struggle that we really don't talk about. Society doesn't really talk about. Women are deeply capable. We are deeply creative. We're very self-aware. And the problem is that we often don't put ourselves first. And I believe through our lives that we have just learned to make ourselves smaller. We learn how to be responsible and supportive and agreeable and realistic. And we learn how to quiet the parts of ourselves that want more. And I don't think it's because those parts aren't important, but there are so many other things that need our attention that kind of try to form ourselves into all of these boxes and all of these different shapes and sizes. And so I just, as a female creative, I believe that creatives don't have enough space to talk honestly about what to do and what it feels like and what happens when you lose yourself. And I'm not talking about like a creative block. I'm talking about like deeper loss. I'm talking about something that has defined you that feels completely out of reach. I want to talk about the messy and the awkward and the uncomfortable journey of reclaiming your creativity and your confidence and your voice. So disclaimer, this is not going to be a self-help channel. I am not coming at this from a place of having answers or having it figured out. I am very much in the thick of this. I am in the middle of questioning and unlearning, and I am actively forcing myself to take up space. I want this to be a place where creatives can talk about the things that stay stuck in our heads, and where others can hear talk of the things that stay stuck in your head. The self-doubt, the shame, the ambition, the fear, the desire to want more and not really even know what more is or what it means yet for you. I do believe that conversation is a catalyst, and I believe community is how we recognize ourselves. And I believe that when women have space to talk openly and honestly about what they're going through, they don't become isolated and they don't shrink. I think if we don't have those spaces, we tend to believe that we're alone in these experiences. And I don't believe that's the case. I think these experiences are incredibly common. So this space exists because I need it. And I believe that I am not the only one. The people that are watching are probably my friends and family, and you already know my story. But just in case anyone else happens upon this video, I'm going to give you a quick rundown about who I am and why I think this space is important. So I'm Kelly. Creativity is how I define myself. If anyone asks me who I am, I say I'm an artist. I'm a creative. That is my anchor. That is what I've always been. And I don't believe I've ever given myself even a thought to what else I could be or I am. That identity has been given to me my whole life since I was very young. I grew up in a pretty tumultuous environment, and art was something that consistently brought me positive recognition. My art and my creativity were things that made me feel valued and made me feel seen. I believe that from very early on in my life, creativity was the thing that made me feel worthy to other people. So even when I was asked as a child what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was literally always an artist. There was literally never a backup plan. There was never a question. There was one time I wanted to be a vet, but it didn't last very long. I went to post-secondary for graphic design. After that, I got a job at a scrapbooking and home decor company, and I was making scrapbooking papers and stickers and home decor art. I designed for places like Home Depot and Tractor Supply. I felt like I had the world at my fingertips. I was motivated and I was driven, and I felt like I had fallen into place with finding this beautiful career where I was able to be creative and create art. I was really excited to build that career, and creativity was never an option. It wasn't like just a passion. It's what I wanted out of my entire life. It was my direction. So when the path shifted, it was like an identity collapse. I unexpectedly became pregnant, and everything changed really quickly. As a woman, I felt like I had a choice to make. I felt like I had to choose between a career and family. And I chose family. And I have zero regrets over choosing to raise my children and to be a stay-at-home mom. But what came with that choice was a full stop to any creative direction or career that I had imagined for myself. I stayed at home to raise my kids. That was the right direction and decision for myself and for my family. But it was very, very hard. I dealt with postpartum. I didn't know who I was not creating. I think I felt like I was doing the things that I was supposed to be doing as a mother, but I didn't know who Kelly was anymore, and it felt like I was drowning. It's hard because you feel guilt, because you feel like you have this beautiful family and these beautiful things in your life, but you also feel like you're missing something. And so I had an immense amount of guilt around wanting more for myself. I think that this is where female creatives get stuck. We love our lives, but we still grieve for ourselves. And I think that those two things can exist in the same time, but we're really not given permission to say those things out loud. So we internalize it and we silence it. And over time, we sort of lose touch with the parts of ourselves that make us feel alive and feel whole. In 2014, when my kids were very young, I bought a camera and I had no big plan behind it. I wanted to learn and play it out. I'd always had an interest in photography. And thankfully, I have a very supportive husband who just sits by and watches me when I hyperfixate on something and run wild, which I do quite often. I experimented with photography. I took photos of friends and family. I learned. And then over time, I found this community of other women who were also creative and were craving a creative community. And it was makeup artists and models and hairstylists. And we did costuming, the whole shebang. And suddenly this whole world opened up within portraiture and fine art. And I didn't really even recognize that it existed. And that was a light bulb moment for me. And basically, portraiture pulled me into this unexpected direction, which happened to be Sue Bryce education. And through that, and seeing what these women were doing and what they were capable of, I was inspired and motivated in a way that I hadn't been in years. And in this community is where I found people that I still cherish deeply and are still beautiful friends of mine. One night, my husband was at baseball and my kids were sleeping, and I found a moment of quiet. So I decided to combine my photography and these sessions that I had been doing and my Photoshop skills from my graphic design days. And I created this art that I had been drawn to my entire life. And so it was big-eyed, surreal, kind of uncanny valley-ish. And in that moment, something clicked. And creating was like meditative. I would lose hours creating artwork, and I wouldn't notice. My soul was full. I felt complete. It was a literal obsession. And I had so much faith and love in what I was creating that I shared it shamelessly. I shared it anywhere I could. And thankfully, my work was well received. And with that came beautiful, undeniable opportunities. I started winning awards with my photography. I showcased my work in galleries. People actually wanted to buy my artwork. I was filming tutorials, sharing my retouching and my workflow with other people who were interested to learn and create their own art, learn how to create something out of the ordinary, I suppose. And then because of my artwork, I was actually approached to do celebrity retouching as well. So everything was just falling into place. And it felt like the universe was responding to something that my being was meant to do. And it felt innate. Before I dive into this, I'm going to digress for a second. I grew up in a world of instability. And because of experiencing so much loss as a child, I carry this deep-seated fear of losing things when they get too good. And the idea that it's only a matter of time before those things are taken away from you. And it has always just been an irrational thought until 2020. And when COVID hit, that fear became a reality or felt justified. Everything that I had been naming as irrational became true. The world shut down. My physical creative community that I had built disappeared. The stability vanished. My nervous system went into full-blown survival mode. And between that overwhelm and the fear, I isolated myself completely, and I turned into a literal house goblin. On top of being a literal house goblin, I was a full-time mom again. We did homeschooling for 2 years. Our lockdowns here were super strict, and everything was closed down for a really long time, and we were not really allowed to socialize. Photography was not essential, so studios were not open. We were not allowed to gather. Everything closed down for a long time. We also moved further away from the creative community that I had built. And over time, I sort of just stopped showing up. I would make plans and I would bail. I was experiencing constant anxiety. And over time, I sort of turned that into this internal storyline that I had lost my ability to create, and that my creative world was gone, and that I had missed the opportunity because it had been so long, and starting again would be embarrassing and pointless. And the truth is, nothing was taken from me. I stepped away. And fear and my own belief system convinced me that it was safer to stay small than to risk potential loss again. And that fear has kept me stagnant for years. And I know I'm not the only one who went through this, but it sure felt like it. Several months ago, this beautiful creative that I know through Sue Bryce Education posted on her social media that she was moving in a new direction, and she needed some people who she could support as part of her education. And that was an aha moment for me. My intuition screamed at me to message her, and I did. And thankfully, she was interested in working with me. Poor girl. That shifted something in me that had become quiet. What changed in me was not about discipline or motivation. It was about being understood. Talking to someone who recognized themselves in my experience was a light bulb moment for me. And it was someone who spoke to me with objectivity and without placating me. Having my thoughts reflected back to me made me realize I wasn't broken. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't incapable. I was disconnected, and I had let my old fears and my limiting beliefs shape the choices that I was making. These stupid beliefs were stopping me from creating. They were stopping me from taking up space. They were stopping me from trusting myself. And I think the biggest shift was through this multitude of conversations that we had, to hear her say that she saw herself in a similar way, and she had experienced similar struggles, and that she saw herself in me. And I couldn't believe that, because this person that I admire, this person who was everything that I wanted to be, she saw herself in a similar way. And she had similar thoughts. And like my shadow goblin's cousin was throwing like rocks of shame at her too. It was just an unbelievable realization for me. And that was transformative. The fact that we had been locked in this non-judgmental conversation, it had allowed me to stop sticking my head in the sand and open up. Conversation was what was bringing me back to myself. Being seen and heard by someone who understood what it felt like as a creative sort of cracked everything open for me. So I'm telling you this about me so that you don't think I'm coming out of left field. I want to make sure that you all know that I was deep in this. This forgetting of who I was. I pushed her away for almost 6 years. And I let my limiting beliefs and my fears take over. I want you to understand how absolutely impactful simple, unjudgmental conversation with another creative person has been in my life. This is the point of this channel. I think that many female creatives walk around feeling like they are too much. They take up too much time. They take up too much space. They have too much freedom. Society tells us to be quiet. We have to be pretty. We have to be perfect. Perfection means success. Be seen, but don't be too seen. Don't be too loud. Don't be inappropriate. Carry it all on your shoulders because that's the expectation. We box ourselves into other people's expectations of us, and we try to fit ourselves into spaces that don't resonate with who we are. That's a lie. Our personal creativity and who we are not optional. We can get knocked down. We can deal with fear and shame and resentment and death and hormones and divorce and anxiety and a fucking plague. And we can find ourselves again. We can find ourselves in community. And we find ourselves in seeing ourselves reflected in someone else and realizing that we are not broken and we're not alone. That's why I want to start this channel. I have no game plan. I just want to have conversations with other women who are navigating life too. Motherhood, ambition, femininity, personal identity shifts, strengths, losses, the struggles when you hit midlife. And yes, I'm talking about menopause, where you don't know up from down, you have brain fog, everyone's pissing you off. It's about permission to be seen. It's about permission to be unresolved. It's about permission to want more. It's about permission to say the thing out loud. And there's no clear resolution. There's no clean resolution. It's about expression and conversation. And this space is not about answers, and it's not about trying to fix yourself, and it's not about waiting for the perfect version to show up. And it's not from the perspective of anyone who has it figured out, because I don't, and I am actively in it. And the people I want to have conversations with are actively in it. It's about the messy, awkward conversations that we've been told our whole lives are too much. And it's about the conversations people tell you not to have because you're making it weird. I want to make it weird. This is meant to be about this liberating process of going through it and finding or trying to find yourself through conversation and community. So if this is something that resonates with you, then this is your space too. It's not polished, it's not perfect, and I sure as shit don't have anything figured out. So you'll have to stand by me as I relearn or unlearn and make things awkward. So I figure let's make it weird. because someone has to, and it may as well be us. It's awkward. I made it awkward. I made it weird.